Letters from the Future. Second letter. Spirituality versus the expectation of posthumanism, cybernetic immortality, and the illusion of utopia. As I mentioned in the first communication, there is another field of science that has made unexpected advancements that help to usher in a period of spiritual growth. This technology lies in the field of medicine. The ethical laws governing time travel permit us to share this information because you have already made significant progress in this area. Specifically, it pertains to advancements in resuscitation technology, which now allow individuals to be revived hours after experiencing clinical death. This has led to millions of corroborated reports about what they have experienced. Before we discuss this topic in more detail, however, I would like to mention that we, in your future, found it fascinating at first to see that you have not taken to this discovery with the fervor it deserves. We have looked into this phenomenon of neglecting what we have come to consider as something more important than even time travel, but after taking everything into account, we now realize why this may be the case. We had to consider your perspective to understand your lack of interest in a type of innovation your ancestors would have died for. Your ancient forefathers, those souls who lived their lives searching for spiritual truths, contributing to the mass of sacred texts that became the foundation for nearly everything regarded as civilized, have been left behind in history. As history moved on, you experienced the scientific revolution that at first was an age of reason, but reason then turned into terror, annihilating what can be considered sacred. This disdain associated with religious thought can be said to be your current standpoint, although there are many, if not most of your planet's population, still guided by some form of spirituality. Nevertheless, the overarching narrative, espoused by instrumental rationality by a minority of the population, is clearly holding the majority at bay. Even those who are well known to be associated with religion, and often discuss the importance of looking at the Bible with new eyes, neglect to notice such an important advancement. We can only assume the reasons for this. One could be the fear of being ridiculed if they were to mention that there is indeed evidence of an afterlife. However, we also understand that this advancement is still in its early stage and hasn't surfaced through the mainstream narrative yet. But perhaps there is another, more pressing set of reasons why religious minds may wish to neglect this fairly new discovery, as the information being reported from the realm beyond may not be exactly to their liking. For example, according to reports, God is often said to be beyond description in human words. This wouldn't sit well with some people because many texts describe God often and declare his intent. God is not judgmental or condemning, angry or wrathful, and does not communicate a requirement to be worshipped. This would also pull the rug from under one's foot, according to some, if not all, religious teachings. And this next report would not sit well with many hard-nosed religious types. God's love of everyone for who they are and what they are, regardless of their religious belief, lack of religious belief, age, gender, sexual preference, social status, education, and wherever in the world they live. And lastly, this may offend all religions equally. God does not specify any earthly religion as the chosen religion or the one true religion. There is a sense that all religions may be a path toward the same destination. This perspective, which leads religiously minded individuals to turn a blind eye to this milestone discovery, combined with atheists who are repelled by the idea of an afterlife and quick to ridicule any discussion about near-death experiences, places your worldview at a pivotal moment. It reflects a time just before we witnessed a major paradigm shift. Despite the odds stacked against the acceptance of proof for an afterlife, your unwavering commitment to truth eventually led you to embrace what was undeniable. The age-old hurdle placed by atheists, claiming that faith in religion was a sign of weakness, a superstition providing opium for the masses, was finally put to rest. It wasn't only that atheism had become obsolete due to the evidence for consciousness persisting after the death of the brain, but it became clear that if one was to take on a mechanistic belief system, believing that consciousness was purely the product of the brain, there was more than nihilism and depression to be had. Believing in something untrue, by definition, distorts one's perception of reality, and a distorted sense of reality began to emerge just before your worldview underwent this significant shift. At the heart of this distortion was the growing interest within academic circles, particularly in the humanities, in the concepts of transhumanism and posthumanism. The motivation behind such a seemingly audacious endeavor was the desire to avoid not just death, but the perceived threat of total annihilation. For those who believed that the death of the body equated to the death of consciousness, it is no wonder there was a desperate race to develop technologies that might offer a way to escape the inevitable. For some who are unaware of this topic, allow me to show you the opening paragraph of an essay written in 2011 titled "Transhumanism and the Posthuman Future. Will Technological Progress Get Us There?" Quote, "The prospect of a posthuman future, replete with ecological harmony, cybernetic immortality, and the imbuing of the entire universe with evolving intelligence, tantalizes our imagination with a utopian vision. All we need do is turn a couple technological corners, and suddenly, the abundant life will be ours. We will be liberated from the vicissitudes of biological restraints such as suffering and death, and we will be freed by enhanced intelligence to enjoy the fulfilling life of a cosmic mind. The transhumanist or H+ vision is as inspiring as it is extravagant." End quote. Before addressing the response from the religious camp to the posthuman vision, I want to highlight the similarities between the promise of a utopian future through advanced technology and another ideology that rests on the same premise. That ideology is Marxism, which encompasses both socialism and communism. As history has repeatedly shown, this ideology consistently fails to deliver on its promises. There are many reasons why Marxism leads to disastrous outcomes, but what we consider to be the primary flaw is this: people place their trust in a select few to govern, collect, and distribute resources fairly. Predictably, this fairness never seems to materialize. To put it bluntly, such trust is both naive and immature. Furthermore, expecting a governmental body to forcibly seize wealth from one person to redistribute it to another is, at its core, a form of organized crime. Religion, on the other hand, often approaches posthumanism with a combination of skepticism and openness to dialogue. It frequently raises concerns about playing God by using technology to fundamentally alter human nature. However, some interpretations within certain faiths may view posthumanism as an extension of human evolution, or even as a means of advancing God's creation through technological innovation. The primary point of contention lies in the potential erosion of the distinction between human and non-human, which could challenge the theological belief that humans are uniquely made in God's image. The similarities between posthumanism and Marxism are not just a lack of some form of spirituality, but a passionate disdain for it. By his own admission, resentment, anger, jealousy, and greed seeded the means by which Marx wished to usher in a utopian future. We recognized long ago that any philosophy based on such a destructive premise was not the means to be used to reach a utopian society, but rather, in all and every situation, usher in a despotic state of existence. Likewise, posthumanism, as it embraces a false fear of annihilation, a prolonged sense of fear tends to eventually turn to anger, and together with being resentful and jealous of those who have no fear of annihilation, it begins to behave as viciously as the Bolsheviks led by Vladimir Lenin in 1917. Moreover, in a despotic machine-like kingdom, the system wouldn't stand for anything more important than itself, adding to the desire to eradicate any sort of religious knowledge. Indeed, as the term suggests, posthumanism signifies the end of what is considered human, the end of life itself. We, in your future, don't wish to present a grim picture of your time ahead, but it is necessary to inform you in order to avoid this potential timeline. Time travel ethics permit us to warn you of this because, again, there are many of you who are aware of this situation. We only wish to encourage you to not be tempted by promises of a utopian future that ultimately will manifest not just a prison planet, but a prison for the soul due to this type of technology promising cybernetic immortality. We will continue on this vein and talk more about the alternative timeline in our next letter from the future. Thank you for listening, and peace be with you.